I see what you're doing on the weekends, buddy. Okay? You could have stayed in Saturday night, but instead you went to the club.
Isn't that a straw man of working people? But every working person is just some asshole who off and gets drunk every week?
That's not what I'm saying.
There are people who are busting their ass and just not able to pay the bills. Then I think it becomes a problem, because then the implication is, if you just bootstrap your way out of it, you're going to get out of it. And my whole point is, I don't think that's possible.
Kyle Kulinski just obliterated Adam Sosnick with cold, hard facts proving personal effort and systemic reform can work hand in hand. Adam wouldn't quit whining that struggling workers waste their free time, but Kyle fired back that fair wages, rest, and systemic fixes aren't luxuries. They're basic necessities for a functioning society.
When you focus on something for maybe a shorter amount of time, but you give your all to it in that shorter amount of time, it's better than just sort of doing it nonstop without the leisure time to sort of recharge your battery.
Kyle kicks things off laying down what he actually believes in, and it's not complicated. Social democracy, the whole make sure everyone has the basics so the game's actually fair thing. Universal healthcare, education, a living wage, nothing wild, nothing radical, just the bare minimum so people aren't starting life already halfway in the grave.
The problem here is, I don't think anybody disagrees with what you're saying. When you talk about hey, do the best you can, work really hard, pick a passion, give your all to it, learn, expand your horizons. I think there are tens of millions of people who are part of this working poor group who did nothing wrong on their own, and the system just fucked them. Let me give you one story.
And he's not talking about some dreamy utopian nonsense either. He puts it in the simplest way possible so even Adam could understand it, though judging by the rest of this debate, I'm not sure he did. Kyle uses this perfect 100-yard dash analogy. Imagine we're all about to race. Some people start at 0, ready to go. Others, they're stuck back at negative 40 yards, chained to debt and bad circumstances. And then you've got billionaires like Mitt Romney basically standing at the 85-yard mark, waving at everyone else. That's not a race. That's a joke. And Kyle's point is, let's at least make sure everyone starts at 0.
So I want people to have the basics met. And then from that, then you achieve the most that you can. So in other words, if we're running a 100-yard dash, I want everybody starting at the 0-yard line. I don't want somebody at the negative 40-yard line and then Mitt Romney's son at the 85-yard line. I want to have a fair race. I want a real meritocracy. So that means I want everybody to have healthcare. I want everybody to have education.
But Kyle doesn't stop there. He pulls out actual examples from real countries. Adam, real ones that exist outside of your South Beach bubble. Scandinavian countries not only give people healthcare and education, but they also somehow score higher than the US on economic freedom indexes. You'd think this would blow Adam's mind, but you can practically hear him loading up his next straw man instead of processing the fact that his helping people kills the economy talking point just got nuked. Kyle's pitch is calm, logical, and data-backed. Meanwhile, Adam is still clinging to this lazy stereotype that working class people are just blowing their money at nightclubs.
My fucking boss is an asshole. Life sucks. They don't pay me enough. It's like, you make 50 grand. I see what you're doing on the weekends, buddy. Okay? You could have stayed in Saturday night, but instead you went to the club.
And speaking of nightclubs, here comes Adam's masterpiece of a take, the $10,000 bonus example. According to Adam, if you get a bonus and spend any part of it on, say, going to a club or taking a trip, you're basically an unfit parent and your kids shouldn't have the same opportunities as others. Yep, that's really where his head is. In his world, if your parents had the audacity to have fun once in a while, congratulations, you're now sentenced to a life of fewer chances because apparently joy is a punishable offense.
Let's just use a different example. We both make $10,000 as a bonus at the end of the year. We work for the exact same job. I spend my money and max out my 401k and pay off my credit card bills and save some money.
Yeah, that's more responsible.
Okay, you go spend half of it at the club, go to South Beach, spend it at partying at 11 in South Beach, big club, and you spend money on strippers and cocaine and have the time of your life. God bless you.
Yep.
He keeps going with this major problem rant about giving kids of so-called irresponsible parents the same head start as those with responsible parents. And when I say he ignores the actual kids in the equation, I mean he bulldozes right over them, like they don't even exist. The conversation isn't about whether parents made the best spending choice one weekend. It's about kids, and Adam somehow can't separate the two.
Kids, the kid that happens to have asshole parents. So you think there should be like some sort of punishment associated with that?
What do you mean asshole parents?
Let me ask you.
Parents who made better decisions.
The one who is irresponsible.
No, made better financial decisions.
But the real cherry on top is when Adam just makes stuff up. Kyle's talking about healthcare and education, and out of nowhere, Adam tosses in eliminating credit card debt, like Kyle just promised to pay off everyone's Visa bill. Kyle instantly has to cut him off with a, "I never said that," because when you're dealing with Adam, apparently you have to fact check him in real time.
I'm just saying that you want to give free healthcare, free college, and make sure these kids don't have credit card debt. But
no, I don't want to eliminate credit card debt. I'm just saying credit card debt is high.
Right.
Go on.
Well, of course.
Then there's Adam's proud little poor versus broke theory, which honestly sounds like he came up with it while waiting for bottle service. According to him, poor is when you're stuck in a so-called third world country like Honduras and have no way to make money. Broke is when you live in America, make $50,000 a year, and by somehow he means you must be wasting it all at Miami bars. Forget inflation, rent, medical bills, or just the cost of existing. Nope, in Adam's head, if you're struggling on 50 grand a year, it's because you didn't stay home Saturday night with a glass of water and a self-help book.
There's a major difference between being poor and broke. Poor, you live in a poor shithole country, and some you're in Honduras, whatever. You can't make money. Broke in America, you make 50 grand a year, and somehow you can't get by.
Now here's where Kyle starts tightening the screws. He asks Adam directly if he has any systemic critiques, and Adam actually admits, yeah, the system is messed up. But like clockwork, he swerves straight back to start with yourself. Like it's a magic spell that erases every structural problem in existence. It's like asking a mechanic about your busted engine, and he says, well, maybe drive better.
The systemic critiques are fair, meaning I think we all agree that the system is messed up. But if you think that at the end of the day, what's easier to fix? The system with a $30 trillion GDP or your life based on 50 grand?
Kyle calls him out right there, pointing out exactly how Adam uses personal responsibility like a shield to shut down real conversations about fixing the system. And to drive it home, Kyle brings in a real life example, Kevin. This guy worked 2, sometimes 3 jobs delivering pizza at night, landscaping in the mornings, and still lived at or below the poverty line. You'd think Adam might hear that and go, wow, maybe the problem isn't laziness. But no. The second he hears Kevin didn't graduate high school, Adam slaps on the screw-up label without even blinking.
Wait, hold on.
So Kevin was a screw-up.
But what if I told you his parents died, and so he had to pay the bills to look after his siblings? Then would your calculation change? He needs to earn money right now, so he goes to do something to earn money right now?
Okay.
This exchange is the perfect snapshot of the difference between these two. Kyle sees people as individuals with complex circumstances, while Adam sees people as either doing it right or screwing up, based on a quick glance. Kyle's willing to actually dig into why someone is struggling, while Adam's too busy imagining them at the club blowing their rent money. And in this part of the debate, Kyle didn't just make a better case, he ripped Adam's one-dimensional logic to shreds right there on the spot.
My question is, what are you doing with your spare time? We all get 24 hours in a day. My inkling is those people who are still continually living paycheck to paycheck, having 2 jobs, can't figure it out. They're not putting in the work outside of work.
Adam's favorite pastime apparently is playing the weekend police. The man genuinely thinks that what you do after work should determine your worth as a human being. He's sitting there asking, well, what are they doing outside working hours? Like he's some productivity hall monitor clocking your every move. And the implication couldn't be clearer. If you're not grinding 24/7, well, then you've basically asked to stay stuck in life. In Adam's fantasy world, if you're not spending your evenings learning how to code in 5 languages or launching a side hustle empire, then sorry, pal. You deserve every bit of your struggle.
That's really what it comes down to for me.
Yeah.
Those people that are fighting for 15, I'm wondering what they're doing outside of working hours.
Yeah, I mean, but look, I mean, I believe in a good beer, a football game or an NBA game or something. Like, I want people to have that leisure time, that relaxation
Every single
time.
Sunday, though?
It gets worse. He looks down on workers fighting for $15 an hour like that's some outrageous spoiled demand. According to him, those same people are wasting their evenings doing unproductive things instead of reading self-help books or mastering the stock market. Because yeah, after you've been on your feet for 10 hours at a soul-crushing job, what you really want to do is crack open the 48 laws of power instead of resting your aching legs. Adam says it like everyone's got the same energy reserves he does sitting in a podcast studio all day, sipping coffee in South Beach.
If you work full-time, I think you should be able to live on that wage. Yes. First of all, if people want to choose to go further, to do something that's full-time or beyond full-time, you want to choose to have a family, you want to choose to be a soldier, you want to choose to be in the NFL, which means you're going to have to work on Sunday. Obviously, I'm 100% in agreement with all that.
Kyle doesn't let that nonsense slide. He fires back hard, defending the radical concept, apparently radical to Adam, that leisure time is a human right. If you work full-time, you should be able to pay your bills and have the luxury of sitting on your couch on a Sunday, watching football or a Netflix series. But in Adam's twisted logic, rest is a sin and burnout is basically a badge of honor. If you're not fried to a crisp by Friday night, you're not working hard enough. It's like he wants to turn the entire country into one giant, miserable hustle culture experiment, where the only acceptable hobby is making more money.
No, I'm giving a hypothetical, but I would rather look in the mirror and say, I got to do some things in my life than wait for the government or Kyle or the system to have it figured out.
And that's where Kyle shifts the conversation into something Adam clearly hasn't researched a single second in his life: actual data on work schedules. Kyle brings up 4-day workweek pilot programs from the UK and Portugal. And here's the kicker: productivity didn't drop. In many cases, it went up. That's right. Working fewer hours made people better at their jobs. Companies saw employees more focused, more engaged, and more satisfied. Shocking, right? Turns out when people aren't treated like machines, they do better work. Who could have guessed? Well, apparently not Adam.
What do you do in a system where the majority of the jobs are jobs people don't really want to do, don't like doing, but we need these jobs in order for society to function? And that's where the conversation we were having before comes in. What should the norm be for the way we structure our economy?
Kyle explains why shorter hours work so well. Better focus, higher morale, and less burnout. Yeah, it's not just about having more time off. It's about the fact that your brain and body actually get to recover. That recovery makes you sharper and more effective when you are working. This isn't some soft European fantasy either. These are real-world trials with measurable results. But Adam's sitting there acting like the only path to success is grinding until your spine disintegrates. Adam's grind set just got steamrolled. Subscribe for more takedowns where facts crush fragile egos.